Right, so today we're going to talk about WrestleMania 3, to continue the WrestleMania series that I've started, where we just talk about the pay-per-views. So we're going to start with that. We're going to do what I usually do and start with a basic intro, and then we're going to get into it's more and more detail as the video goes on. So we're going to start with a slight intro into WrestleMania 3. So WrestleMania 3 was a 1987 professional wrestling pay-per-view event produced by WWF. It was its third annual WrestleMania, and it held on March 29th, 1987 at the Pontiac Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. There was 12 matches, and the main event featured Hulk Hogan successfully defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Andre the Giant. The WWF claimed that the paid attendance was 93,173, which would have made it the largest crowd in WWF for a WWF event, as well as the largest recorded attendance of a live indoor event in North America at the time. However, retrospective analysts of the event have determined the actual attendance was about 78,000. The event was considered to be the pinnacle of the 1980s wrestling boom, and it was also with almost 1 million fans watching the event at 160 closed circuit locations in North America, and the number of people watching via pay-per-view estimates at several million. The WWF generated $1.6 million in ticket sales, and pay-per-view revenue was estimated at $10.3 million, setting the record for the time. Version's only event with official higher attendance was WrestleMania 32, held at AT&T Stadium in 2016. The record for the largest indoor event stood until January 27th, 1999, when it was surpassed by the Pavilion Mass by Pope John Paul II at the TWA Dome at St. Louis, Missouri, which drew an audience of 104,000. The event gained positive reviews, with the main event bout between Hogan and Andre being called one of the most iconic matches of all time. Though it received criticism for its overall quality. Additionally, the battle for the Intercontinental Championship between Steamboat and Savage had gained critical acclaim, with many highlighting it as one of the greatest wrestling matches of all time. So the background to the WrestleMania 3, so it was considered the World Federation flagship professional wrestling pay-per-view event. Having first been held in 1985, it was held annually between mid-March to mid-April, unlike previous year's WrestleMania 2. WrestleMania 3 was only scheduled to be held in one location, the Pontiac Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, on March 29th, 1987. Like the previous WrestleMania events, WrestleMania 3 was promoted for several months in advance. The main feud stemmed from Andre the Giant's heel turn and betrayal of his friend, the WWF champion Hulk Hogan, which began on an episode of Piper's Pit, when WWF President Jack Tunney presented Hogan with a trophy for being WWF World Champion for 3 years. Andre, Hogan's good friend, came out to congratulate him, but critically remarked, 3 years to be champion is a long time. A week later, on another episode of Piper's Pit, Tunney presented Andre with a visibly smaller trophy, being the undefeated in WWF for 15 years. Hogan came out to congratulate Andre, but before the Giant could speak, Hogan ended up being focal point of the interview. Annoyed by this, Andre stomped out during Hogan's congratulations speech. A week later, on yet another Piper's Pit segment, Jesse the Ventura hinted that he knew something about Andre that he wasn't telling. This infuriated Piper, and the two nearly came to blows before Ventura asserted that he could produce Andre the next week, asking Piper, "Can you produce Hogan?" Piper agreed and nervously asked Hogan later on who agreed. The following week, Hogan was in Piper's pit first when Andre walked out with Bobby Heenan, a long-time adversary of Hogan and Andre. Heenan announced himself as Andre's new manager. Andre then challenged Hogan to the title match at WrestleMania 3 and attacked Hogan, ripping off Hogan's t-shirt and crucifix necklace. As you notice, I've had to move again because of another WrestleMania video, because upstairs grandchildren are making noise. So I've had to move, and as you can hear, it's my cat, who is also here today. So another feud leading up to the event between Ricky Steamboat and Continental Heavyweight Champion Randy Savage. The feud began during the title match between the two when Savage attacked Steamboat as he greeted fans at ringside. Savage then pushed Steamboat over a security rail and delivered an elbow shot that thrust Steamboat's throat into the rail and then dropped the ring bell onto the throat from the top rope, injuring his larynx and sending him into the hospital. This resulted in a long, bitter feud, lasted 6 months, included several bloody matchups, and finally culminated at WrestleMania. Joe Steele was in Steamboat's corner, having developed a crush on Savage's valet, Miss Elizabeth. So Billy Jack Haynes and Hercules feud started when Bobby Heenan continuously taunted Haynes, telling him that Hercules was the real master of Haynes' finishing move, the full Nelson, which came to a boiling point when Hercules attacked Haynes on an edition of Superstars of Wrestling, which led to their WrestleMania match. This battle was advertised as a full Nelson challenge. Another heated feud leading up to the event was between Harley Race and Junkyard Dog when the WWF Wrestling Classic became the King of the Ring tournament. Harley Race went on to win the tournament and began referring to himself as King Harley Race, coming to the ring in a royal crown and cape at the ceremonial accomplishment of the classical music piece Great Gates of Kiev by Modest Mussorgsky. After each of his victories, Race would force his defeated opponent to bow and kneel before him. Usually Race's manager Bobby Heenan forced the defeated opponent to bow and kneel by grabbing their hair. Junkyard Dog protested Race's self-proclaimed monarchy in the WWE and stated that there would never be a complete ruler in WWF, which led to the match of Saturday Night Main Event, in which the King and his manager both tried to make Junkyard Dog bow to them. This set a stage for WrestleMania match, which was including a stipulation the loser would have to bow to the winner. The British Bulldog lost their WWF tag championships to the Hart Foundation in a match that saw Dynamite Kid so debilitated with a back injury that he was virtually carried to the ring by Davey Boy Smith and did not see the physical activity after being knocked out by the Hart's manager Jimmy Hart, who had hit him with his megaphone as the match began. Danny Davis was the referee and allowed the Hart Foundation to use illegal double team maneuvers. After being given some time off for Dynamite to recuperate, the Bulldogs continued their rivalry with the Hart Foundation when they teamed up with Tito Santana against the Foundation, and the referee turned wrestler Danny Davis in a 6-man tag match at WrestleMania 2. WrestleMania 3, the match was billed as the revenge match, with Santana's inclusion due to Davis being the referee at Boston Gardens in early 1986, when Santana had lost the Intercontinental title to Macho Man, who would use a foreign object to get the win. Rock singer and Detroit native Alice Cooper was in Jake Roberts' corner during this match with the Honky Tonk Man, managed by Jimmy Hart. The Honky Tonk Man had attacked Roberts with the guitar on Roberts' interview segment. The snake pit, which legitimately injured Roberts' neck. This event began when Roberts turned into a babyface, as well as the feud began between the wrestlers, who culminated in their WrestleMania match. The feud between Adrian Adonis and Roddy Piper began when following a leave of absence from the WWF in mid-1986, Piper returned to Piper's pit segment, replaced by the Flower Shop. The segment hosted then by effeminated wrestler Adrian Adonis. Piper, who returned as a face, spent weeks weeks, crashing Adonis' show, trading insults, leading to the showdown between the two in two segments that ended Piper being assaulted and humiliated by Adonis. Piper's former bodyguard Bob Orton and Don Morocco. The trio left Piper with his face covered in red lipstick, lying in the middle of the remnants of the destroyed Piper pit set. In response, Piper stormed the set of Adonis' show and destroyed it with a baseball bat. This led to the hair versus hair match of WrestleMania 3, which was billed as Piper's retirement match from wrestling before becoming a full-time actor. WWF owner Vince McMahon claims that he was about to announce Welcome to WrestleMania 3. He felt the spirit of his father, Vincent J. McMahon, who had died 3 years earlier. After McMahon welcomed the audience, he introduced Aretha Franklin, who opened the show singing America the Beautiful. The first match of the night, the Can American Connection versus Bob Orton Jr. and Magnificent Morocco. This match ended when Martel gave Morocco a full high crossbody with Zenk on his hands and knees, giving Morocco what Gorilla Monsoon called a little high school trip from behind, allowing Martel to get the win for his team. The next match that aired was Hercules against Billy Jack Haynes in a full Nelson's challenge. The match ended when Haynes locked Hercules in a full Nelson outside the ring and both were counted out. After the match, Heenan assaulted Haynes, kneeing him in the back after Haynes had applied a full Nelson to Hercules outside the ring. Haynes then chased Heenan into the ring where Hercules blindsided Haynes with his chain, hitting him a number of times before locking bloody Haynes into his own full Nelson. The mixed tag match between King Kong Bundy and professional wrestling midget team of Lord Littlebrook and Little Tokyo against Hillbilly Jim and his own team of Haiti Kid and Little Beaver was next. The rules were only midgets could fight midgets, and that neither Bundy nor Hillybilly was allowed to attack the midgets, though at one point Bundy tagged in and Little Beaver refused to tag out immediately, even hitting the 458-pound walking condorium with a drop kick to no effect before bailing and tagging Hillbilly Jim. King Kong Bundy's team was disqualified when Bundy attacked Little Beaver because Bundy was not supposed to be in the ring with the midgets. After Beaver had attacked Bundy on this occasion during the match, he finally got caught and Bundy attacked Little Beaver, hitting him with a body slam before dropping the elbow across the chest. The loser must bow match between Junkyard Dog and Harley Race followed. Prior to the match, Oakland interviewed Heenan, Race and Moolah backstage, where Moolah predicted that Junkyard Dog would have to bow to the king, as he was supposed to. Bobby then gave Moolah a crown and told her to put it on the king's head after the match, as only the queen of wrestling can do. Junkyard Dog came out to the ring to a big ovation in the Silverdome. During the match, the two battled back and forth, with Race even trying to successfully to give a prone dog a falling headbutt, which naturally failed. Following this, Race recovered enough to give Junkyard Dog a belly-to-belly suplex when he was distracted by Bobby Heenan to get the win. Due to the pre-match stipulation, Junkyard Dog did little bow and then hit Race from the blind side with the steel chair to rouse an ovation from the crowd attacking Race. Junkyard Dog took the King's royal robe and left the ring with it in his hand to a standing ovation. The next match was the Dream Team with Lucius Johnny V and Canadian Strongman Dino Bravo in their corner against the Fabulous Rougeau brothers. Ray Rougeau started the match locking up with the Beefcake. The two men later tagged out. Valentine brawled with Jack Rougeau as Bravo looked on from the outside of the ring. Raymond before the sleeper hole of Valentine and was followed by Beefcake jumping off the ropes and accidentally hitting the hammer with a double axe handle. The Rougeau brothers gave Valentine a double team move, but the referee was arguing with Beefcake. The match ended with Dino Bravo jumping off the top rope and hitting Raymond while he was pinning Valentine, then following Valentine on top of him for the win. Dream Team argued for most of the match, which led to Valentine, Bravo and Lucius Johnny departing together without Beefcake. Footage of the interview with Rowdy Roddy Piper was aired. Piper made his way to the ring to face Adrian Adonis, who was accompanied by Jimmy Hart. In Piper's retirement match, Piper and Adonis began the match by attacking each other with Piper's belt. Adonis put a sleep hold on Piper in the middle of the ring, which released the hold prior to the Piper's arm going down for the third time. Thinking that he had won the match, when Jimmy Hart got in the ring to celebrate with Adonis, Brutus Beefcake came to the ring to help Piper recover, and Piper attacked Adonis and performed a sleep hold of his own. Piper got the victory, and after the match was over, Brutus got into the ring and cut Adonis' hair, and Piper held Jimmy Hart down. After being woken by Beefcake and seeing himself in the mirror he had brought to the ring that Piper was holding, Adonis hit the mirror and chased Piper around the ring before leaving the ring in embarrassment with using Hart's jacket to cover his head. Up next was a 6-man tag match featuring the former referee Danny Davis, the Hart Foundation against the British Bulldog and Tito Santana, and Matilda the Bulldog in their corner. As referee Davis' bias towards the heels had led to the Bulldogs losing the titles, and the Harts also led to Santana losing the Intercontinental Championship to Savage. The Bulldogs had many near falls, yet Neidhart broke up most of them. After all 3 members of the Bulldogs and Santana team had gone to a measure of revenge on Davis, all 6 wrestlers ended up brawling in the ring. Davis recovered and hit Davey Boy with Jimmy Hart's megaphone and pinned him for the win. Butch Reed making his pay-per-view debut against Koko B. Ware in front of the match. Reed won the match with a roll-up after a high crossbody from Koko. After the contest, Reed's manager Slick got into the ring and attacked Koko B. Ware with a cane. But Tito Santana quickly rushed the ring and stopped Slick and then ripped off his clothes. Slick retreated as Reed got back into the ring, only for Reed to then get a double drop kick in from Koko and Santana. The rest of the contest was a title match. The next contest was a title match involving the reigning Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion Savage and Ricky Steamboat. The match itself lasted nearly 15 minutes. At one point, Savage was about to use the bell as a weapon, but stopped by Steele, who at this point, Savage was about to use the ring as a weapon, but then Steele, who knocked him off the top rope. When Savage attempted to give Steamboat a scoop slam, Steamboat reserved it into a small package to get the win and become the new Intercontinental Champion, marking the first time in WrestleMania history that the Intercontinental Champion changed hands. This match considered by many to be one of the greatest matches in history. The 10th match of the night was the Honky Tonk Man and Jake Roberts, who came along with his pet Python, Damien, and Alice Cooper in his corner. When Jake went for the DDT, Honky Tonk Man's manager Jimmy Hart pulled Roberts' leg, and the Honky Tonk Man rolled Roberts up from behind, held onto the ropes and pinned him for the win. After the match, Roberts narrowly missed hitting Honky with his own guitar, smashing it against the ring post, causing Honky to run off down the aisle, leaving Hart alone in the ring. Alice Cooper got into the ring and, with Roberts holding Hart in a full Nelson, attacked him with Roberts' Python Damien. Ring announcer Howard Finkel then introduced Gene Oakland to the crowd. Oakland then announced the reported attendance of the event and set a new indoor attendance record of 93,173. Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov were in the action next against the Killer Bees. Slick asked all the fans to rise and respect Nikolai Kovalov singing the Soviet national anthem, and when Volkov began singing, Jim Duggan came to the ring with his 2x4, which had a tiny American flag attached to it, got a microphone and said that Volkov was not going to sing because America is the land of the free and the home of the brave. While the match ensued, Duggan stayed at ringside when the Iron Sheik locked Camel Crutch on Brunzell. Duggan, who was chasing Volkov around the ring and finally into it, stopped and hit an unsuspecting Sheik across the back with his 2x4 in front of the referee, resulting in Iron Sheik and Volkov winning the bout by disqualification. In what's since been billed as the biggest main event in sports entertainment, the final match pitted the World Heavyweight Champion Hulk Hogan against Andre, defending his title. Howard Finkel, the guest timekeeper, and Howard Finkel introduced guest announcer Bob Ecker, who in turn introduced the guest timekeeper Mary Hart. The fans booed Andre heavily and pelted him and his manager Bobby Heenan with trash. They rode the cart to the ring. In contrast, Hogan walked to the ring and came a huge ovation. Approximately 1 minute into the match, Hogan attempted a body slam at Andre but was unable to lift Andre, nearly lost when Andre fell on him and almost pinned him. After the match had battled back and forth, Andre gave Hogan an Irish whip to the far side of the ring and attempted a big boot on Hogan, but Hogan ducked it and came off the ropes to give Andre a clothesline, take him off his feet for the first time in the match. Hogan then hooked up and slammed the 525-pound giant before hitting the ropes and executing his leg drop pin, and then get the win and retain his championship. The event has received positive reviews after WrestleMania 3. The Savage and Steamboat match has been ranked by critics and other wrestlers as one of the greatest matches in professional wrestling. The PWI and WON named its 1987 match of the year. IGN ranked it at number 6 in the top 20 matches of WrestleMania history. Steamboat described it as a moment in time that defined me as a wrestler. Thomas Golinopoulos of Complex Sports ranked it number 2 in his list of 50 greatest matches in WrestleMania history, citing both guys were lightning fast and everything from Steamboat aggressiveness to involving George the Animal Steel played off their part. David Adunga picked it as WWE's.com's 5-star match of the week, December 19th, 2012. The main event between Hogan and Andre regarded as one of the pivotal matches in history of WWE, with Hogan's body slam of Andre having become the iconic moments of both wrestlers' career, as well as of the 1980s professional wrestling boom overall. Despite its historic importance, the match was also criticised for its quality. At the time, it received negative 4 stars ratings from Dave Meltzer, and the Wrestling Observer newsletter named it the worst worked match of the year. Meltzer would later increase the rating to 1 star out of 5 in 2020. 411 Mania's Larry Koska gave the match 1 star, stating the match was not good in any shape, way or form, but is one I completely appreciate for its historical importance. Kenny Pantoja, also the writer in 411 Mania, gave the match 2 stars in 2019, stating technically it isn't any good. However, I don't think it's nearly as bad as some people do. The match will be inducted into the 2026 Hall of Fame as the Immortal Moment category. There's been numerous claims that created the attendance figure of 93,173, which established the world record in attendance in the indoor event, was false, and the real attendance figure was only about 78,000. Meltzer pointed that 78,000 is attributed to Zane Brelsloff, the local promoter for the event. Officially, WrestleMania 3 remained the highest attendance in WWE history until it's surpassed by WrestleMania 32 in 2016, with the official figure being just over 101,000 in attendance. So WrestleMania 3, its figures also has been disputed, with subsequent analysts assessing that the actual number between 93 to 94,000. The aftermath, Robbie Piper went on to film Here Comes Frogtown and They Live, and made a sporadic appearance on television before returning to host Piper's Pit segment at WrestleMania 5. Piper continued to be active professional wrestler in various points for more than 2 decades. The first television match between Andre and Hogan after WrestleMania 3 was main event 1 in 1988, drawing a record 33 million viewers, making it the most watched match in North America professional wrestling history. The angle surrounding this match was that after winning the match, Andre ended Hogan's 4-year reign as WWF champion, and he held a work screwjob finish involving twin referees Earl and Dave Hebner. The feud communicated a rematch of WrestleMania 4 as part of the tournament to crown a new champion. The Hogan-Andre match of WrestleMania 4 was the first to ever WrestleMania match. So 4 or 6, I think it's 4. Randy Savage continued to challenge Ricky Steamboat for the Intercontinental Champion. in rematches of house shows across the country. Steamboat eventually lost sight of the Honky Tonk Man not longer thereafter. Savage became the face and feuded with Honky Tonk over the title. Randy Savage won the King of the Ring by defeating King Kong Bundy. 20 years later at WrestleMania 23, celebrated WrestleMania 3 by returning to the Detroit metropolitan area, showing footage of WrestleMania 3, having Aretha Franklin Who's Zooming by Franklin was the theme to WrestleMania 3, singing America Beautiful, and having Kane scoop slam Carly. WrestleMania 23 had the highest buy rate of any WrestleMania in history before being beaten by WrestleMania in 26, I think, WrestleMania XXVII, I don't know which one that is. Not very good with the Roman numbers. Also in 2007, WrestleMania 3 was re-released on DVD. The DVD included pre-WrestleMania interviews and matches, including Battle Royal from Saturday Main Event X that Hercules won, and optional pop-up trivia facts about the event. WrestleMania 3 was re-released on DVD on March 12, 2013. Fox Sports 1 later rebroadcast the event May 12, 2020. The event's Hogan-Andre match was inducted in the Immortal Moments wing of 2026 WWE Hall of Fame by Jimmy Hart, and Hogan's son Nick and Andre's daughter Robin accepting the induction of their parents. Both Andre and Hogan were by this point in time dead. So yeah, tell me what you think of WrestleMania 3. I do think Randy Savage and Steamboat's match was one of the best matches ever, really. If you don't agree, tell me in the comments, and if you think that Hogan and Andre's thing was one of the most memorable moments, comment below.